as you probably know, Wuthering Heights is being made into a movie again, and there's already a lot of drama regarding the casting and the overall plot and vibe of the movie. So like you, I'm just as interested to see whether or not this adaptation is done well, but I've never read Wuthering Heights, so in today's video, I'll be reading it for the first time so that I can be adequately prepared to see the movie. So let's see what I thought about the book. Holy chopped. Why do I look like that? Okay, no, actually. It looks like whenever I cut my bangs myself as a kid. Okay, let's make this brief because like I said, I do not like how I look right now, so I don't want to be on camera for too long. I did start the book and I'm not liking it very much. I know. I'm super upset because if I don't like this book, that really doesn't make me want to watch the movie very much. I took some notes while I was reading and so far we have more cons than pros, but I am only 20% through, so obviously things can change. My main thing is it's a classic and I just feel stupid when I'm reading classics. I feel like I'm not understanding something that the author's trying to communicate and it doesn't make me feel very good about myself. So lately I've kind of been avoiding them. I read The Hobbit recently and it was actually really easy to understand and consume. With this one, I'm struggling to where I have to listen to an audiobook or else I'm just not going to get through the book. It's a Great Gatsby, if you will. Like the same kind of thing that happened to me when I was reading Great Gatsby is happening now where I'm like needing to watch video breakdowns. And the book's not bad. I'm just not getting it. Like I'm not understanding why people are obsessed with it. So for right now, I'm just kind of like, this is what y'all are hyping up. Like, this is what we're making a movie about. But I will say that I do like how we're exploring class issues. There's a clear distinction between the owners of the house and the people that assist, like servants and maids, and especially with the two that are becoming part of the love story, Heathcliff and Kathy. Did I just make that up? As you can see, not super invested in the story. I'm trying to understand it. I genuinely am. I want to have a good time with this book, but right now I don't really care that much. I also wrote down that there's no real plot, and for right now, that's true. I don't really know where we're going with the book. I don't know what direction it's gonna take. I just know that we're learning about Heathcliff's life. I know that he's like a standoffish, kind of crabby guy, and we're learning about his backstory to maybe give context for why he is the way that he is. And we are learning a little bit. I do think that his treatment in the family is like disgusting and disrespectful and sad, and it makes sense why he's become who he is. I just don't really care. I don't hate it, but I don't see it being any higher than 3 stars, but we can be surprised. All of this could change in the next update. I'm open to that and I'm hopeful for that. So we'll see what happens. I'll update you guys the next time I read a good chunk of the book. I actually really like my outfit today. I need to show you guys in a second. But first, let me update you about the book because I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I once was. The last we spoke, I was pretty bored, but now the book is picking up quite a bit. These people are really dramatic. Because of the old style language, it's hard to understand at times, but in the moments where I do understand it, it just makes it that much more like there's so much more to it. Whenever they're describing an emotion, the description that they give is so much more visceral than just, I'm so mad right now. In this book, they say something like, the way my body is igniting with rage. And I'm like, damn, like you really feel all that? You're really feeling all of that in that moment or in that little instance that doesn't seem to matter in the grand scheme of things. So I've been liking the drama. I've been liking the toxicity that's creeping up. I obviously don't want to spoil too much, but the two main characters that we're following are basically yearning for each other so hard, but not admitting their love for one another because of class issues. Because Kathy is of a higher class and she married rich, and Heathcliff is like a servant level. So if Kathy were to marry Heathcliff, she would then be at that same level with him at the bottom. And Kathy is just so against doing that. So she's trying her best to suppress all her feelings for Heathcliff, but to everybody else, including the readers, it's so obvious that she's into him. For instance, I'm pretty sure it's Kathy's sister-in-law that ends up getting a crush on Heathcliff. And then Kathy in the book, after talking so good about Heathcliff the day before, starts suddenly talking about Heathcliff to make him not desirable. I don't know how to explain it other than an example. If I'm Kathy and I have a crush on Heathcliff and then Isabella also has a crush on Heathcliff, I might tell her something like, oh, well, did you hear that Heathcliff cheated on his ex-girlfriend? Just so that she won't like him and then I can just like him myself. That's kind of what's going on. So these people are just so dramatic. You could literally just communicate and all of this would be resolved, but I know it's way more complicated than that because of how classist this society is. And obviously this goes back to misogyny and things to, because obviously the women had to marry into money instead of just making it themselves. You guys probably already know that, so I don't need to give you a history lesson right now. I don't think I would be as engaged in the book had I not been listening to the audio, because like I told you guys, the language is still really difficult for me to understand. I'm still watching a breakdown video after every chapter just to make sure I really got what was going on. So shout out Course Hero, love. I think what's primarily bothering me about this story is the fact that it's in third person, but I know that this book is gothic, and I understand that in gothic literature, there's often a third person perspective that you're reading through the lens of. So that's why we're in Mr. Lockwood's point of view, which yeah, I understand. Like I get it. I know that that's how they were writing back then, but I'm just expressing to you guys that I would feel a bit more connected to the characters if I could be in their head. It's very far removed from the layer at which the relationship is happening that it makes me feel a bit disconnected from their romance and from the problems and from the toxicity, which in a way is cool because you're kind of bird's eye view watching this relationship be messy and yearny and toxic and all these things. But in a way, I'm kind of missing being inside of that hurricane, if you will. So that's just my perspective. Of course, I understand how important gothic literature specifically is to the book space, but I'm just trying to also dissect what about the book I'm not particularly gelling with. Okay, so that's all I wanted to update you guys on about the book. But in my personal life, I opened the fridge earlier and there were a bunch of lemons on my shelf. I don't know why they keep appearing there. And it made me want to make lemon bars. I haven't made that since my last baking video, but for some reason I need to make them today. So what if I make lemon strawberry bars? That sounds literally so amazing. Outfit of the day. I feel so cutie pie today. I have yet to wear this skirt, so I'm super happy about it because it has beautiful embroidered flower details on the bottom of it. Look at all of them. I have my brown little cowboy boots on. So cute. I have a bunch of rings on, as always. What do you guys think? So let's go to the kitchen. I'm gonna listen to my audiobook and you guys can watch me as I become a master chef.
Your crust timer is done.
Oh my god, oh my god. Stop. Gypsy's laying in my lap. They're the freaking best. Okay, just know that that's happening as I'm filming this update. Last we talked, I was liking it. Before that, I was hating it. Right now, I'm kind of feeling in the middle. No, she's leaving me. Oh, I actually need to update you guys about my lemon bars. Let's go to the kitchen. It looks so nasty. They're like leaking, but they taste so good. I've already eaten 2 this morning, but it really just tastes like a standard lemon bar. If you've never had that before, it's like a sour lemon sweet jelly. I don't know how to describe it. Okay, back to the book. Okay, now that we've seen my lemon bars, let's talk about the book. I'm officially 57% through, so a little over halfway. And as you guys know, whenever I started the book, I really was not liking it. And then I was really liking it. And now I'm kind of feeling moderate about it. I still do find that I'm feeling a little bit disconnected from the characters because of how the story's told. Because as you guys know, we're basically hearing a story through another person's perspective. And in chapter 15, they took it a step further because we were hearing about a story about Heathcliff and Kathy through the eyes of Miss Dean, retold by Lockwood. So there's so many steps in between us relating directly to these main characters that it feels a little bit weird. Like it feels a little bit disconnected. But I do actually think it's interesting that we're getting the housekeeper's perspective on the relationship because in her eyes, these 2 lovebirds are wreaking havoc on everyone around them. Like because they are so in their head about their feelings towards this other person, they end up destroying the lives of everyone around them because of how infatuated they are are with each other. It's almost like they have no regard for anyone else but themselves. And like I said, they're very dramatic in these proclamations, and they make it everyone else's problem because their love is going unrequited. So I actually think that's probably why we're hearing the perspective from the housekeeper and then from the tenant, because otherwise we would probably be on the main character's sides. But because we're kind of removed from their perspective, we have to think rationally and logically about their impact on everyone else, and that makes their love a little less ideal and a lot more toxic. And they are so toxic, like especially Heathcliff. I'm so frightened by him. Whenever we got to chapter 16, he literally crashed out. Like he was freaking out and he started slamming his head into a tree. Like genuinely. He really just has no emotional regulation skills, and his feelings for Kathy dictate the way he interacts with everyone and everything around him. And an interaction with her, or a lack thereof, is what made him slam his head into a tree. And there was a lot more of that kind of behavior from him. And on her side, it's similar, but it's just shown in different ways. So I am really curious how these two characters are going to be portrayed in the movie. And I do actually think it'll be a really interesting watch. I feel like I've already reached the conclusion of the novel though, and we're only at 57%. So I'm so curious to see where the author is going to take it from here. But I do plan to keep reading, although it's been a little bit difficult for me to pick up the audiobook because I'm not particularly invested in the story. But this video has already started, and that's honestly what's keeping me accountable. So I will be finishing the book, just probably not today. So I'll talk to you guys the next time I have a big update. Oh my god, that felt like I was about to do a YouTuber apology. I've made a severe and continuous lapse in judgment. Okay, anyways, I'm like 63% through the book, and I'm feeling one of two ways. The first being, free me from this shackle. Simply go to therapy. And the second way I'm feeling is, well, at least there's drama. Heathcliff is still making his problems everyone else's problem. And I think that's what's bothering me so much, because I feel like we didn't even really get to read about Heathcliff and Kathy's relationship. So I'm like, why do you care so much? Because I don't understand. I simply don't. Where was the yearning while they were together and like able to connect? I don't remember reading that. So I'm like, why are you so distraught over this? And let's humor him and say it's valid. You're making everyone miserable, and it's pissing me off. This update's honestly making me realize that I just don't like male rage. I think that's my problem with this book. Because why are you so angry? Where will the story go from here? I'm not sure. I'm really finding it very difficult to pick up the audiobook, and for some reason this audiobook is lasting so long. How many pages is this book? I understand this is probably an incredibly hot take, and my opinion could absolutely change, but as of right now, Heathcliff is so freaking dramatic, and I hate male rage.
A few moments later.
I know I was just complaining about this book, but low-key I'm enjoying it now. I was listening to it the whole time I was in the gym, so I'm at 76% now, and it's kind of entertaining. Basically, we read about Heathcliff and Catherine, and now there's an entire generation of kids below them that we're reading about, and they are all just as dramatic as their parents, but in different ways. So it's kind of an interesting conversation to be had regarding nature versus nurture, and how much I really think it's nurture. This book is such a roller coaster for me, but at the moment, we're at a peak. Will we dip? Probably so. I'm back, and I have lots of thoughts regarding Wuthering Heights. I just finished it as I was straightening my hair, and I actually really ended up liking this book. I know that's probably a surprise. It was a surprise to me as well, but I do think that the story ended up being incredibly well-rounded, and everything that upset me in the beginning made sense by the end. I really appreciated the theme of the generation below being able to right the wrongs of the generation before them, and I also liked all the talk that we had regarding class issues, love, and obsession, and how quickly that obsession can turn into rage and torment. It was a really interesting book, and I do know now that it was incredibly controversial at the time, and I can understand why, but I do think that the novel has a lot of value, and I now also understand why it would be taught in schools. I think the most interesting to me was the topic regarding nature versus nurture, because it was really amplified how much being raised in a household of chaos contributes to that child becoming chaotic and untethered and emotionally unregulated, and I loved seeing that written out on paper and then happen time and time again to really nail it into our heads, how much your environment impacts who you are and who you become, but also that you can still find love and that you can change the ways of your past in order to become a better person in the present and in the future. So I do think that there were a lot of interesting themes in this book, and overall I did really actually enjoy it. I'm so shocked. So with all that being said, my final rating would be a 3 out of 5 stars. Obviously it wasn't a perfect book, but I do understand how valuable it was, especially for the time when it was published, and I did find the story entertaining, although at times it really got under my skin, but I think that was the author's intention. So I really can't complain about much. I'm so excited to watch the movie, but I do find that Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie are incredibly interesting casting choices. I don't think that either of those individuals adequately represent the Kathy and Heathcliff that we read about in the book. So I'm really curious to see what the director does with this. And as soon as I watch that movie, I will come back to this video and leave a comment so you guys can see what I thought. And once you watch the movie, leave a comment also, because I'm really curious what we're all gonna think about this, especially if you've already read the book. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!